Hello, hello. Welcome to a live vibe coding with Will Melton. I'm Will Melton. I am on a quest to build 52 apps this year and all for learning and growth and empowerment. And I'm teaching you all what my process is through building live. This is a production of Channel RVA. We are on Channel RVA's website right now looking at RVA art. If you're here in the Richmond region, these photos are of murals from across Richmond, the city of Richmond. We hope to grow this library of murals to connect people to the art in their community. And I'll let this rotate here for just a little bit while I talk about what we're going to do today. I am encouraging you to subscribe here to Channel RVA if you're in Richmond. And if you're not in Richmond, subscribe at studio.willmelton.com and you can learn about all the things that I'm working on over in the app building land. Studio.willmelton.com is also where you can go to get access to what it is that I'm doing.
You're tuned into Channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators.
So,
Subscribe at channelrva.com.
a couple of things to be thinking about here is you can see me live on my website as well as on Channel RVA. When I'm live, that should show up right here. I don't see it yet, but it should pop up there in a minute. And you can get some free credits with Lovable if you'd like. This is a referral program that they have. And if you like what I'm doing today, that's what I'm building on. Normally, I'm going to do a little bit of prototyping today inside of Claude, but you can see all the things that I've been building. Some of these are kind of funsies, and some of them are things that are real in the world and things that I am pursuing, things that are serving our organizations. And you can see all my past live streams. And so hang out with me today, ask questions. I'm going to go make sure that I can see my chat. I have to anchor that into my software over here so that I can talk to you guys as I'm going about this stream. And let's see, what else do I want you to know? So you can stream me on LinkedIn Live. You can stream me on YouTube or Twitch. All of the links for that are somewhere here on this website, I believe, all right here. So that's it. That's me. I'm going to be working today on something interesting. So I have been doing a lot lately, and I think folks think that that is, I don't know what they think about it, but they ask me about it, and I tell them I have sleep just fine, but I do have a lot of going on, and if I don't manage it well, it can get a little bit unwieldy. Some of the things that I work on, I don't necessarily, uh, I don't pursue uh, all the time. You know, sometimes I'm working on things and I put them down and I come back. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to try to map some of my thinking around this, and I'm going to just check my stream here because I'm catching some lag. All right. Well, I'm going to see what happens when I scroll here. If my whole thing is slow, that's not going to work out very well. So let me just see if it's my computer or if it's the whole world. Give me 1 second while I check on this stream, guys. I have been having some issues with OBS, and it seems like I'm having those issues today. So let's see what we can get going. Might have some laggy internet, but in any event, I'm going to keep talking here in hopes that we are doing well on the front of this. Let me just see. Okay, so I think the feed's fine. I think it's my computer, and I will just have to deal with that. And please, if you're hanging out with me today and you notice an issue in the buffering here, just let me know, and I'll see if I can't get things going there. All right. So let's get to work. I don't want to let this distract me from what we're working on today. So I'm going to start off with the same thing that I do for every one of these, and that is to start a voice memo. So I've already kind of indicated what we are going to do today in the description of our show notes. So we can lean on that a little bit, but I want to start to ideate and create some kind of simple interface designs that we can just confirm it's going to work. I kind of want to have a little bit of an interactive bubble chart that shows the things that I work on. I want to have the ability to kind of shrink and grow them and allow the growth of one to kind of impact the relative size of the others. I want to be able to show the connectivity between things. And I want to be able to house things within things. So I want to kind of have big bubbles and then small bubbles within them. And I want to be able to draw a line between the smaller bubbles to the bigger bubbles or to the smaller bubbles within. So I want to have the flexibility to do both. And turning on and off different toggles would illuminate certain pathways and lines that show the connectivity between things. There's a lot of things, and so we can break it down really into 3 categories. We can say the agency business, which is largely Exponent 21, the technology business, which is also still Exponent 21, but kind of bleeds over into this personal territory of building. My studio website, willmelton.com, studio.willmelton.com, and willmelton.com, where my speaking website is. I'm authoring a book. The media side of our business, Channel RVA, Richmond Water belongs to that as well. Things like onscreengames.com live within Exponent 21. The Carl suite of applications live within Exponent 21. So I guess to some degree there's some nesting going on. I don't know how deep I want to go on that. But we want to be able to click and isolate and get into things. Try to kind of be able to tell a story, if you will, about all of this. And because I am distracted by this speed of my screen over here, I'm just going to do a quick search. I'm going to just switch over to another scene to see if that speeds anything up for me. Probably not going to be any better. Yeah. But yeah, while I'm working on this, hop over to studio.willmelton.com. All right. But if you're hanging out with me, please leave questions, comments in the chat. I'm still recording this voice memo to my agent, so I'm going to do that now. Okay, cool. was able to close my preview and get rid of that annoying situation there. So let's get back into it. I'm going to get into Claude here and share my screen again. And we are at it. So let me just paste this voice memo that I have right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a chat that I had earlier that I started working on. Okay, bring this back over here. So I started on this already, so I'm just going to give this some more context. It now knows that I'm talking to you guys because of this that I'm about to paste. And we're going to do this. What else do I want to share here?
You're tuned into Channel RVA.
Let's just see what happens
the
with
media
this.
hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
So to tell you a little bit of background on this program, I have, let's see, Live Vibe Coding is a project that I created, and I use it for two things. One, to write my show notes ahead of time, and also to kind of work on the project. Since I've already shared enough context with this, hey Michael, thanks for joining me. Since I've already shared enough context on the kind of write-up for my social posts, I'm just going to leverage that to continue to build, and I'll keep this context window relatively short, but I'm having it kind of prototype an interface that might work for us before we go and build something in Lovable that is a little bit more permanent. Let's just see. My imagination has me making it so that when I click on something, it kind of zooms in. I also want to be able to zoom in and out within the interface and drag things around. There used to be an interactive presentation thing called Prezi that had a nice UI that we could do something similar to that. And then I think what we'll do is we'll work on the physics first, and then we'll worry about the relationships and the content later. But I do want to have a little bit more context ultimately whenever I click on things to kind of illuminate what they are. We'll come back and build out the actual map later. All right, I'm going to let this build again because that was a pretty light build on this UI. Let's see, there's not much going on there, so we'll just kind of play with that a little bit. And I like to read these, but I can't. It's not letting me see it today. Anyway, I'm not even sure why I'm doing this. I think it's just because I personally want to. I'm a visual thinker. I think this is it's kind of closer to what we're looking for, but the relationships are gone. And I don't have the ability to create new relationships with this. It's all limited to just movement. There's no UI to change, edit, any of that stuff. But I think this is pretty close. I kind of like the feel of it. It feels good. We lost some of the other things that we had in there, which were like the waiting sizes and the ability to isolate things and all that stuff. But I think we're good enough at this point to create a prompt for Lovable, and I'm going to go ahead and have you go and create a new project for me. My aim for this is to be as light as possible on the build. I don't want to use a lot of tokens, but I do want it to be interactive and fun. We'll go ahead and create a database for this so that I can further contextualize all these things, because I think once I have all of this mapped out, it's going to be something I'll be able to use in some way, shape, or form that I have yet to sum up in my mind. But we're going to keep going and figure that out. Yeah, I spend a lot of time talking to Claude. All right. What's that? Okay. Screws fall out of my chair sometimes. Sure. Anyway, yeah. So if you're listening along, I'm building a tool for myself and for me to be able to kind of tell you the story of all that I have going on. While this is working, I'm going to go into a general chat and I'm just going to ask this. I'm working on building out a map of my professional life, and I need to kind of comb some sources to be able to do that pretty quickly. We can use my LinkedIn profile, we can use my chats, we can use my studio.willmelton.com and willmelton.com and Channel RVA, Exponent 21, onscreengames.com, drinkrichmondwater.com, americashealthiestcity.com. Essentially, we can break it down between civic activity, business activity, my book, my applications that I'm building that are inside of Exponent 21, like the Carl Suite, and the applications that I'm building for myself. And you can use Lovable connector to see all of that. I'm no longer on the board at Housing Families First. That is expired, as well as Leadership Metro Richmond, but I'm still on at Chamber RVA, and I'm the acting board chair for AI Ready RVA. There's all kinds of things inside of AI Ready RVA that I also pay attention to that we can create some entities around, like governance being kind of a core focus of mine, the R Prize being a committee that I run, the citywide scavenger hunt that nobody knows about, but if you're paying attention to this stream, you now know about that I'm planning, which that kind of is actually resides under Channel RVA a little bit more. All right, so we're in it now 20 minutes. If you're joining me for the very first time, please visit channelrva.com or studio.willmelton.com and learn about my journey to build 52 apps in 2026. I am over 40 way in. I don't know exactly what that number is because I have some active client projects that aren't in the portfolio, and I have some active personal projects that are not in the portfolio, and I have some active Exponent 21 projects that aren't in the portfolio. So there's a, I wouldn't say it's a lot, but somewhere in the mid 40s, I would say. So we're getting close. I figured I'd get done before halfway through the year. We're just past halfway through the year, and yeah, I think it's quite all right. All right, so I'm just taking a look here
the
at the
media
work
hub for
plan.
independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
Today I'm working on creating a thought bubble map, or sort of a bubble map of my interests and the way I spend my time, how I earn money or donate money, however you want to look at it. Okay, this is fine. I'll figure this out. Does our work plan utilize the cloud? I think I said that in the last prompt, but I want to make sure that we're actually storing all this information for use. I think we can do more nesting, because what we'll ultimately be able to do is create different views that are helpful, not just this view. So that's what we'll do. Also, a good bit of the information Okay. Yeah, this is a lot of kind of building two different things at one time. I'm working on the prompt for this. Just see if it'll play along here. So getting the actual UI built, and then over here working on a plan to gather the information that's required to fill it out, because it is, I would say it's extensive. Let me see something else. As we think about this plan, I also want to chronicle past things of import, so that we can kind of maybe even do a timeline and history animation if we wanted to. There's a lot of things that I've done in the past that are related to what I do now, and that relationship could make sense to show kind of the significance of things. So there's a new connector for Lovable and Claude. We've been using it for a couple of weeks. I no longer go into Lovable to manage websites, and there's one really key thing that I've discovered about that. It used to be whenever I would talk to my Lovable agent, I had this one-to-one relationship with it, and I would often complain to it, for lack of a better word. And the the thing about that I found out was that the complaining misdirected the the agent. It made it focus too much on the problem and not enough on building great software. So what I've found now, if I hadn't said this 2 weeks ago when I was last live with you guys, talking to Claude and having Claude talk to the Lovable agent provides a buffer that is necessary, and the Claude agent will give a lot more context to on the technical level to the Lovable agent, which I believe, even though I'm using two different agents in this and I've got compute happening on both, I do think that this is a more efficient way to do things, because my emotional center is not being wasted on misdirecting the Lovable agent. So I find Claude to be a bit of an intermediary that I have very much enjoyed. Very much kind of in an interesting place. The thing I think about this too, because I'm building a lot of technology. I still get paid to build technology, and I'm happy to help anybody think about this. But the skill that I bring to the table is kind of the whole picture. So the marketing aspect, the brand, the messaging, the content, the AI visibility, SEO components, all of that underbelly, if you will, is a necessity. You have to know that. Then there's the user experience and the interface itself, and how does the customer interface with that? How do they interact with it? And the managers, the management system that manages that application, the different UIs for admins. That's another thing to be considered. And that also brings into question the idea of workflows and what do you automate versus what do people do? And how do you kind of create that ecosystem and think about scaling it? And so, where we're at now is I've been telling people, and I believe very strongly, that we are now in a place where we can build, and we should build to a spec, to a place that we know we need to be, but with an open mind, recognizing that the details can be kind of massaged as we go. We don't have to have all of them figured out. We can learn a little bit as we build and try to make some decisions about what we're going to do as we go. But we also learn as we build what else we could possibly have in the future. And so what we ought to be doing as businesses, as nonprofit leaders, as builders, is thinking, what's that relationship look like? Who the builder is, who's responsible for that, and that they're not done. They do not finish their job just because the spec was finished. No, there is so much more to business automation and customer service improvement and user experience improvement and design improvement and all the things that all the people have all been doing all along. We're still needing to do it, and we still need people with the expertise who do those things to help do those things, but we can do it at a much bigger scale, and we can help a lot more people, and we can make sure that smaller businesses have more matured marketing programs, because it isn't as expensive to do these things now as it used to be. So I think that this world is really opening up to us, and I think it's really going to be something exciting. I've obviously been kind of doing this for quite a while now, but I'm always amazed at what I learn when I continue to build, and I'm always uncovering new ways to do things, and I'm accumulating all of that. So I carry around with me many ways to get things done, and I can assemble those things in different ways and solve different problems for people. Just earlier today, somebody had called me on a conference call I wasn't expecting, and invited me to lecture to some students. But the whole of it was there was a nonprofit and an educator on the call and a builder, and if you can imagine what the power of that is, both for the students in the classroom, but also for the nonprofit that is getting technology, that is driving the organization forward, that is enabling growth at scale and resource development. It's a really amazing thing. And so, my business does well for that too. We're able to put people to work, and we're able to continue to grow our company. We're able to offer internships to young people to learn how to do the things that we're doing. So it is an ecosystem, and we have to treat it like one. And today, we're just playing around to some degree on something that I find to be interesting. So I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm going to push this additional pop-up here. I'm going to see what this says. All right. I'm thinking I'll be back
You're
with
tuned
you in
into
just
Channel
one moment.
RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
Okay. Looks like we have a build. Let's go see what we've got. Idea Weaver. Okay. I'm going to record this next bit. Okay, so now that I have a general structure established and I have some initial mapping established, I want to think a little bit more about outside the box. I have kind of started this project without having clarity of exactly what I'm going to be doing. And that's sometimes part of the point. So I'm trying to think about what I'm not thinking about. And I'll give you some examples. I already mentioned the sort of an animation timeline to kind of see how the thing changes over time. That would be super cool. Also, I think being able to see everything on one map at one time would also be cool as a different view. I also think it would be interesting if we were to build a skill in Claude that would periodically update the map based on what's happening. I also forgot to mention my course at the University of Richmond, but that might be in there, and I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. Discover AIO, I don't know if that got mentioned, but it probably got picked up. But yes, anyway, so thinking about what about like historical things and performance information, KPIs, so we can actually see what's working, what's not. We can look at where some projects is a sort of a long-term investment in another area of the business. So, for instance, my vibe coding project is an investment in marketing and generating new leads and business opportunities through demonstrating my abilities and the company's abilities. So we can kind of create these flows that show where deployed resources are helping us. In some sense, a lot of the things that I do, I'm certainly spending money to build. You know, I'm using Claude credits, I'm using Lovable credits, but those are relatively inexpensive, compared to what I'm building with them, and the power that I'm building in them, and the things that I'm enabling for my company. And so it's a bit of an alchemy in a sense, but we want to show that impact and maybe even go as far as to start to analyze, not with this skill, but with this app, where I should spend more time and focus energy so that I can get the kind of outcomes that I want. Aside from assembling the information in our Idea Weaver project in Lovable, I want to know cool. Yeah, okay, I'm going to let that go. What else? What might we be thinking about? Predictive. What kind of predictive things could we be doing? Let's just work on ideas right now. Okay. Okay. Taking into consideration guidance from business and success leaders from across history, let's do one more pass on ideas that are not just my prompts, my injections of direction, but maybe some external things, maybe some different disciplines in science or anything that I don't want to entirely shape the direction of our brainstorming. All right, I'm going to read through this just to see what I come up with. Okay, timeline animation. What's that right now?
Pop, R&B, Afrobeats und Amapiano.
Ready for the summer.
I love the sun. Summer is now. Und für mehr Beach in deinem Sommer, switch einfach zu I Love the Beach. Für Pool und Beach und Bar. This is I Love Chill Hop.
So if you're just joining me, please hop over to studio.willmelton.com and hang out there to see what I'm building. I've got a few things under my belt here this last 6 months.
You're tuned
And Channel
into
RVA.
Channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
Channel RVA is my biggest build ever. Never done one bigger. And all kinds of fun stuff in this. A lot of interactive stuff. We have some good data charts in here. We've done a lot of work to bring some really awesome data charts to you. Some of them are pretty standard, but at the same time, we're always looking for different ways to tell a story. And so check that out. There's some good stuff in there. It's been my sort of passion project, but it has a very strong foundation. And part of what I'm doing today is trying to tell that story of how all these things connect. And so I've mentioned it before, but you can buy media from the media, buy ads from the media. You can buy exposure to media's audience, or you can own the media. And I'm one for the latter. So I decided that we were going to create a local media channel that has some original content and surfaces other local news and creator content so that you can be a part of the community and surface a lot of really great stuff. So that's something to check out if you're in Richmond. And if you're not in Richmond, this is absolutely something that we'll be replicating in other markets. We've built a lot into this, and there's a lot that we're going to want it thrown away that just don't get activated. But with the right franchisee driving this, I think we have a lot of really cool features that are going to help people. I just need to make a quick note here because I thought of something for my to-do list that I've forgotten about. And I want to make sure I don't forget it. Okay, let's see. I'm reading through these suggestions. I already do a daily reflection at some interval, which is some other information that we can input into this. We'd have to dump the notebook and OCR it because my handwriting is a little bit messy, but we should be able to pull some things out of that as well. Okay, so another thing that we don't really talk about here, though we mentioned it for the app build, and I think it got built in, is who owns the thing. Capacity is one of the issues that I have, and if I don't define an owner, then it's probably not going to get done. And then that can also help me think a little bit about where I find owners for projects, whether it's interns or new hires or internal resources, or if I adopt projects myself from time to time. Let's think about what are our best opportunities with the least amount of compute that we can pursue, that we might be able to have done in, say, 5 minutes of lovable building. Go ahead and go ahead and assume that all projects are will if they're not me, or if they're null. I can change it later. Yeah, we do want to go ahead and have a separate column. Yes, we can have needs owner. That works. But I don't want it to go in there at all. If we know that it's somebody else, it should just not show up. I will separately pull from my reflection notebook, and we'll see. Well, let me just tell you what the questions are, and you can help me make an assessment on that. So I asked myself, what are you grateful for? Why do you do the hard things? What do things look like 10 years from now? What do you believe? What is something that you can work on to improve? Are your priorities getting the attention they deserve? Are your goals getting the attention they deserve? Who are you going to talk to today? And I always have 4 focus areas: vision, team, recruit, and sales. They change order based on what's important, what's going on in the business. So I might have to shift something into the number 1 position, but try to keep vision in the number 1 position all the time. Okay. I'm going to be wrapping up here today at 2 o'clock. I've got to go meet some friends this afternoon, but we're going to have a working prototype here this weekend, and not too crazy about, or not like super like deadline for this thing. You know, it's kind of a fun project. So I forget that whenever I'm listening to music, I try to transcribe into Claude. It seems to do a poor job at actually transcribing. I don't know that it can hear my headset, but there's something definitely different about it. But my phone does a really good job with transcripts. Something else that could be useful information, I don't know if we can see it, but our usage data in Lovable per project, and maybe even per user, and maybe even Claude usage data per user, to be able to kind of start thinking about how
You're tuned into Channel
people contribute to projects and
RVA, the media hub for
how I
independent
deploy,
creators.
different people to
Subscribe at
projects and how their time is eventually spent.
channelrva.com.
I don't want it to be too externally focused, I think, but um, we're looking for that kind of low hanging wind. Okay, let's get this going here. Help me think about what the best thing to do is right now so that we can improve the app that we've already built, so that we can show our audience some improvement. We're live. I think I have to go get these databases. All right, so we're coming to the moment of truth here. We're basically building out the sum of all of our conversations with Claude in two different chats. One that was responsible for building the idea waiver, and one that was responsible for helping me think about all the things that should go into this application. All right, too much typing, too many words, too many finger taps. All right, let's figure this out. Let's see if it does. It just keeps coming up with gaps. Oh my God, let's see if it builds something. Why is it so verbose? The other day, I found this really elaborate application that was built on Claude, or built to run on Claude. And it dawned on me in the sort of analysis of the application that the person who had built it, the people who had built it, was kind of a community built project. Maybe didn't realize that the project may have been built to consume compute. I'm not positive if that's true, but I did the analysis, and by moving the program, if you will, to a hosted application, it will effectively save 5 to 10x in AI compute, and it will speed up the workflow by about as much. So 5 to 10x savings in time to build. And so it might have just been maybe a lack of a technical understanding of how compute works, but we're in this place and time where we do have to be thinking about efficiency, and we can't just go and use all the compute that we want. And I can't help but to think that with this interaction here, that there was a lot of explaining to me and some attempts to continue to use compute here on this project. And it knows that I'm using Lovable to build over there, so it's losing some of the power to be the owner of the compute. It's having to share the compute And I don't care who you are. These people want to make money. They're trying to figure out ways to maximize the amount of compute that goes through their servers. So yeah, be mindful of that. I'm going to stand with you guys for just a couple more minutes while we see this latest view.
You're tuned into Channel RVA, the media hub for independent creators. Subscribe at channelrva.com.
I love chill hop. Kurzer Break. Die kostenlose Streaming-App für Charts, Dance, Hip-Hop und Throwbacks. Immer neue Playlisten, immer live gestreamt. Mit I Love Radio und vielen weiteren Non-Stop-Music-Channels. I love music.
Well, it might be a little bit before this is all done. And I do have to take off here. So looks like it's still editing the TSX files, which are the pages. Okay, so the scheme is updated. Whoa. Man, this is crazy. All right. Right now, the thing I feel like is missing is the ability to connect apps in the visual interface by clicking like a dot or something after you've selected the circle, a way to drag it over to another thing somehow. Just not everything in a text UI. I'm not a big fan of that sidebar that opens up. It takes a lot of input and thinking to make that work. Should be able to be faster in the interface. All right, well, you've seen it. We got a lot going on over here. We've got to a lot going on. So, in any event, I will leave this for tomorrow, and we'll pick back up, and we'll see what else we can make happen with this. I think I'm going to create some different views out of this at some point, and start to play with some of these other things that we had been thinking about. All right, so wait, that's huge. Well, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Again, check out channelrva.com. Check out studio.willmelton.com. This is a production of Channel RVA. Watch me live tomorrow at 10 a.m. bright and early. Thanks for hanging out with me today. It was fun as always. Go code something.